Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Atlantic Bushcraft Adventures. Tonight, we're going to be chatting a little bit about food that we're going to be taking with us to on our camping trip that we are planning. But that's not going to be our sole kind of topic tonight. It's going to be a bounce around, kind of an update of where we're sitting, how everything's looking. So yeah, kind of a jumble, but hopefully half interesting. Or at least that's what I got on the go. What about you, Ben? Kind of on the same idea there. We had a very brief discussion on it right before we started, but
Yeah, similar thing, kind of an update where we're to, what we're thinking about, and just probably a general discussion, see if we're committed to our location we're talking about. Do we want to move it around? Things like that. So, yeah, I think we'll probably just jump right into this.
yeah. So Chris isn't seeing a video, but it looks good on my end. I can see it. I have another window open there.
Well,
Okay, he's good. Anyway, yeah. So I guess briefly on the food, I made some promises last week that unfortunately I have to confess I did not make good on for this week. I promised I was going to do some interesting stuff with the dehydrator. Unfortunately, life got in the way. I had some unexpected expenses, as well as I'm in the middle of planning a fundraiser happening this weekend, and time just got away from me. And I do sincerely apologize. I got derailed. That's literally my only excuse, and it's not much of an excuse, but regardless, that'll still be a topic for another time. But food wise, I think I'm going to have to cheap it because, as I said, I had some unexpected expenses come up. I still want to purchase a tarp, as Ben and I were talking about there after the last show last week. And I think that's going to be basically all I got money for this trip as a new product. But yeah, I'm thinking, and I kind of wanted to get your opinion on this, Ben, because, and I haven't mentioned it to Ben up until this point, but have you ever seen those like instant potato packs? I know that's probably no good for your keto diet, but have you ever taken them before you were on the keto diet or anything like that? I just happened to be holding one for supper tonight, and I'm like, holy crap! Add 2 cups of water and instant potatoes. Like, I think
oh
I'm
yeah,
gonna
no,
take some of those.
we have taken them, and in fact, the last trip I did, I brought them for my brother, and it worked out really good. So yeah, it's like you said, instant hot water, and you have a meal.
Yeah, and I think uh oh. Oh, cancel. No, that's not what I want to do. Sorry. So yeah, I think I'll bring one of those, maybe some rice, maybe some sort of pasta. I still haven't given up on the dehydrator. I want to do up some fresh veggies and stuff like that to have with my rice. The plan is, I think the plan is, or still is, we're going to try and do some primitive fishing. Is that the right term for it? We're going to try and do some loose fishing where we're just using the basics of a fishing survival kit to try and catch some fish. So hopefully, fish will be on the menu, and I think that's keto approved, is it not? Or is the
Oh
old?
yeah,
Yeah, I was going to say I'm
yeah.
pretty sure fresh fish is good. I actually started looking into what all is in the keto diet, seeing we're going to be going out there together, and I'm starting to get a kind of an idea on it. I don't know how well I would do on it. I guess it's just an entire lifestyle change, of course, and you have to be committed to it. And I have like the least amount of willpower on the planet, so I mean it would be something. But no, I think it'll be good. That's pretty much my plans. We're only looking at maybe 1, 2 nights, so I'm not going to overpack for food, and I'm really gonna hope that we get some fish. Also, maybe do a little wild edible foraging. Maybe get some sorrel, and some stuff like that, and maybe try and push that. I'm gonna try and push my skills because I have been rusty a little bit in the, especially last year because Lily was small at the time, and this year I haven't been out more than just for a walk in the woods. So I'm going to go ultralight when it comes to food and gear the more I get thinking about it, but still going to take enough to hopefully be comfortable. We did have some comments last week where we put out an open challenge for anybody that wanted us to try something while we're on this, and that covered kind of our chairs and stuff like that. So I'm really going to hope that that all goes well, and probably won't, but I'm going to hope for it. I'm going to stay optimistic. So what about you, Ben? Sorry.
I'm probably going to take a bit of jerky. I got some plans for probably taking some eggs or an oatmeal that I make without oats. So, but yeah, the fishing kit, trying to keep it pretty light. I'm still hinging on possibly taking a steak, and I just like that idea of having a nice big juicy steak cooked over the fire. So we can talk about that if that's something we're both going to do. I don't want to sit there and eat a nice big steak in front of you.
You know what? If you're going to take a steak, I would probably not argue the point and get one for myself as well. Although I am very tempted, as I said last week, just to cook it right on the coals.
Yeah, yeah, and I could consider that. I don't know. We'll play with some ideas there.
Oh, I'm not saying you have to join me because it may go horrendously terrible or surprisingly well. Like I want to try some different things, challenge myself, if you will. It may make the entire trip. Nah, I wouldn't even make it miserable. I don't mind when stuff goes sour. It's just another feather in my hat.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, there's those kind of plans, things to figure out and work with. Just an update, I do have the front shocks done on my bike, which was the big thing that came up through my MVI, so I'm pretty happy with that. But I haven't had a chance to test it yet, so hopefully, fingers still crossed that all turns out good. I think we're still planning on a spot that's basically the middle of where we're both to now, so that's convenient.
That's the idea, yeah.
I am a bit nervous about the flies. I went down to my cabin last week, and the flies were horrendous already. So,
well, we could try some home remedies for keeping flies away, like burning usnea or sage. I doubt we're gonna find a termite's nest, but you never know.
there's a couple of the shelf fungus, as they say. If you light those, they're very similar to the mosquito coil. You could try some of that, but usually you're supposed to dry them for a while. So that's an option.
Yeah, I guess update on my motorcycle. It's the parts are ordered. They were supposed to be in today. I didn't get a phone call, so I'm going to give them a call tomorrow. Not a major amount of work. Well, there is a major amount of work I want to do on the motorcycle, not a major amount of work that needs to be done on the motorcycle. So I'm going to keep all my playing until after our trip. The only thing I need to do is put a new oil sight glass in it because being the Nimrod I am, I managed to break that within a week of owning the motorcycle. So that was kind of a bummer, but easy enough to change, so I'm not going to let it get to me. And then, yeah, I should be good to go. I did find, do you know the brand name Givi, Givi? They make hard luggage for motorcycles. So when I bought the bike, Buddy gave me like all these extra parts, and he didn't know if they were for the bike or not for the bike, but there's a Givi rear mount for the bike, or at least it looks like for the bike. I'm going to try and put that on. That'll give me a little bit more space on the back to strap stuff down. And then eventually I may buy the hard case for it, and you can get that up to like 40 or 65 liters. Like they're actually pretty big, and that's a ton of room. But that probably won't be until next year. But at least for this one, I'll have that flat space to like strap a bag down or something like that, which is really good because last week we talked a little bit about Ben has a cruiser style motorcycle. I have a sport touring. Ben has you've saddlebags or hard bags?
Saddlebags. They're firm. I wouldn't call them hard.
Saddlebags. But that does increase the amount of room that you have to take things with you. I was actually starting to get real worried about having to strap everything to my back, basically. And now that I have this little extra bit, that's actually just given me a little bit of a cushion, which I'm real happy about, because now I can like at least strap my sleeping bag. Probably going to be the biggest part, because if it doesn't warm up, I assume I'm going to have to take my winter sleeping bag. That's probably going to be the biggest part of the whole system, right? And that dangling off my back on my pack, I don't know how that would work in a half-crouched position.
Yeah, no, my sleeping bag's pretty small. My underquilt's probably the biggest thing, so I have the room. And I think I can strap things on the back seat against the backrest and not even have to worry about the saddlebags too much.
Yeah, I don't even have an underquilt. I'm thinking I'm just going to bring my wool blanket and put under me. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, double hands, that it warms up a little bit. As long as it's like 10 degrees, I'm good without an underquilt. I'm fine. It doesn't bother me. I can even go a little lower and I'd be slightly uncomfortable, but if it's still like 5 degrees at night like it is now, that's just going to be brutal. We'll have to
Well,
make a fire and huddle into it.
it felt like 0 this morning. Like there was frost on vehicles.
It snowed yesterday? Or
Yeah, I
hailed
didn't
or
see.
something here. Like it was bouncing off the road anyway.
Yeah, some of my coworkers seen it out the window. I didn't see it from my office, but yeah, I mean, I've been hoping to take the bike all week, and I just said it's not going to be fun, comfortable, enjoyable.
Those two real nice days we had 2 weeks ago, I think it was the only time I got to ride the bike this year.
Oh man, yeah. So I'm hoping for some better weather. I think Friday's not calling for too bad, and Saturday's not too bad, but I think Sunday and Monday's potentially rain. So we'll see.
Maybe up your way. Down here, last time I checked, I think Saturday was like 10 to 15 mils of rain. So
No.
I don't know. It's changing day by day. I'm really hoping that it does not rain much on Sunday because that is my fundraising event there. Other than that, I really don't care. But fingers crossed, hoping again.
So where's your fundraising event? That's
So, just to plug it for 2 seconds, because it's not really related to the bushcrafting thing. What it is, it's in Upper North River, which is just a few minutes outside Truro towards New Glasgow. And it's an event called Paintball for Kids, where literally it's just a day we go out, we play some paintball, we raise money for the IWK Children's Hospital. Everybody has some fun, we give away some prizes, and hopefully everybody goes home happy. It wouldn't be paintball for kids if there wasn't some sort of extreme weather. I can't think of we have 1 year in all the years we've been doing it that was just nice, beautiful, but it's either been high winds, raining, or cold. The first year we did it was in October, and it was like 2 degrees and raining. There was 20 of us. I have a picture over there, and like we were all very cold and miserable, and it's kind of looking like that might be what it is this year. Really hoping it's not, but
I think I've played paintball in the same at that location.
SNL paintball games.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've been there. I've only really done it in 2 spots. One's closer to down here, and one was just on the other side of Truro. So I think that was the SNL. Sounds right. I bought a paintball marker a few years ago because I was hoping to get into it, and I never had anyone to shoot. No one would play with me.
Well, I mean that's kind of the common problem with paintball. Not to jump off topic, but to touch on it for a sec, because I love to wander all the way around. Is a lot of people do that. They pick up a paintball marker from Canadian Tire, Walmart, or any other big box mart. They go home, shoot it a few times, think it's great, but then can't find anyone to play with.
Yeah.
And then it literally just sits and collects dust, which is too bad, honestly.
That's exactly what mine does. It's really good at it. It's super efficient. I mean, I bought the Tippmann 98 Custom. I planned on upgrading it and stuff, and never played it enough to bother buying like the extra barrels and the other upgrade packages and stuff. So,
you know what? You can upgrade it as much as you want, and it's not a waste of money, but at the same time, you can keep it just as is, and you'll have just as much fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I used to be huge into upgrading paintball markers, buying anything that would slap onto it or give the say that it's supposed to increase rate of fire or whatever and stuff like that. You know what? 9 times out of 10, I found it was all up here more than actually functionality of the gun. There's a few things that make it a little nicer, but nothing really makes it that much better. Get yourself something that feels good in your hands, a decent hopper, and go have fun. Don't worry about wasting money on big upgrades.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digressed.
Yeah. So we're hoping to do some bushcraft stuff. We're hoping to set up maybe some chairs, a little bit of a camp area. Try to be as low trace as possible. If you're going to do a bit of bushcrafting, you're not going to be no trace really.
No, but we can try to mediate it as much as possible by using already downed wood. Hopefully there's no burn ban in effect at the time, because once again, with the weather the way it's been, Overkill Sports when I lived in Nova Scotia was fun. Where was Overkill Sports at, Chris? Just a post over there. If you can let me know, I don't remember hearing that name. But yeah, if we used downed wood already, try not to cut anything living, try not to disturb any of the natural habitat as much as we can. I guess that's the best we can hope for. Um, as you said, we're kind of looking at places that are somewhere midway in between, or at least equal distance traveling. So it's so we each kind of have the same. And maybe to backtrack a little bit, maybe you were thinking about just for fairness there, Ben, but I was thinking about it more for we both come off with the same amount of fatigue and have the same amount of experience in between.
Yeah.
Is more what I was looking at because I mean it'd be no good if I hopped on the bike, ran 2 minutes up the road, and I was all fresh and good to go, and you rode like an hour, and you come down, and you're like, oh, it was a long ride, and it was kind of damp, and I just feel like getting a fire going, and I'm like, oh, screw that, let's go. But that's kind of where I came from on it anyway.
Well, I mean, that's part of the fairness, though, and all that. But I mean, we'll see. I mean, if it's a really nice day, maybe I'll meet you part way.
And I'm good with that. Like I'm really looking forward to getting out on the bike and having a little fun. Like if you talk to Melissa here, she'll tell you I've been talking about it pretty frequently, and I'm really excited because I think we're going to have a lot of fun. We've said it before, but I'll say it again. It'll be the first time that Ben and I have actually gone out doing bushcrafting related stuff outside of the Nova Scotia Bushcraft. To be fair, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right, that's the only time we've ever met face to face was at the first Nova Scotia Bushcraft gathering, which was 2016.
Yes. It's unless we've met and didn't know each other. Like we said, potentially we were both in Shuby Wildlife Park at the same time.
Yes, working on the helicopter, or working on something in there.
Yeah, I changed the windshield while you were apparently working at the same base. So potentially our paths crossed, but I don't think we spoke. I don't think you knew me from Adam, nor I you. So
no, but yeah, so I think that'll be an interesting thing for us as well. I like to think that we get along pretty good over the podcast, and we chat outside the podcast, and we seem to get along. But it's kind of like you never really know until you get into the woods how it's all going to work out. I don't foresee any problems. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it might be scary, but you never really know how people are going to just work together and how they'll function or coexist. That's the best descriptor I can come up with, is coexist. Because as most of you guys out there know, everybody's bushcrafting style tends to be a little different. Priorities for me may not be the exact same as Ben. Ben's may not be the exact same as mine. I don't foresee anything major, but you never know. You know what I mean? And I think that's going to be some of the fun of it.
In some ways, we're kind of hoping for a little bit of conflict, just so we have something to talk about. But so far, it's not been too much. So we'll see.
And once again, you never know until you get in the woods.
And it's going to be neat either way, just to see what kind of equipment you take and how you use it, and what your priorities are, and stuff, and sharing tricks and tips and how we do things, and try to make ourselves more efficient or more comfortable.
And that's just it. I'm excited to get out with another person that likes hammocks. Chris there as well was giving me some information on ridge lines for the hammock. I'm looking forward to trying that. I'd like to see your setup and how it compares to mine. Maybe I can improve on mine because I am fairly... I'm still fairly new to the hammock thing. I've only been doing it for a couple years now and very infrequently. So I like the idea. I just love to improve on the comfort of it. And I think I know what I'm doing wrong, but I'm hoping I can get a little guidance from your expertise on it as well.
Yeah, we'll play around with it. Like I said, I got 2 different setups, and I think I'm going to go with my newer one just because I want to try it out more. But my older one is more tried and tested, and I think is probably the more robust system. But it's also slightly bulkier. So
now I have to ask, when it comes to to hammocks, do you use whoopee slings or do you use another type of fastening system?
So my older system is whoopee slings, and the newer one is UCR, I think we call it, utility constrictor rope. And the difference is essentially a whoopee sling is a loop.
Yep.
And a UCR is just one rope fed through another, and you adjust the length by moving the rope through the other rope. So you just increase and decrease the length. Essentially, you're saving about 1/3 the rope per sling.
Neat. Now, see, I don't use whoopee slings. That was, and I'll be honest, I was just really egging for a way to say whoopee sling on the podcast because I think it's hilarious. But I don't use whoopee slings. I have a kind of a strap system and rope that I use. But now that I've seen them, I'm very interested in them. So I was kind of hoping you had something that I could eyeball up at the same time.
I definitely do. And if the opportunity arises, I'll take a look at what I got. I may be able to make you a set. We'll see if I have enough material or if I can get it. It's not a hard thing to do.
No, I was watching videos. The big thing's getting the cord. You need Kevlar cord or what most people brand name it as Am steel.
Amsteel. So it's Amsteel is a hollow braid, no torsion rope. So it weaves both ways. Kind of makes like a bunch of X's all the way around. I don't know. It's like 14 strand type idea, I guess. And when you push it together, it opens up sort of like a Chinese finger trap, and you can push the ropes through it, poke it out the other side. I use a piece of like rabbit snare, honestly, and folded it up, and push it through. Then you just pull your rope on through it, and it's slick. It's a very simple, easy to do system, and it means when you're in the woods, you really don't need to do any more ropes than or knots than your basic Marlin spike hitch on each end, which I have my tree savers type straps for. The Atlas strap system is more what you've got, I think, and that's dead simple too, right? It's easy, it's efficient, it works well.
I have that system. I'm going to be honest with you. I've just been using a couple of junks of rope that I folded into loops, and I kind of do. I like. I love ropes and knots. It was something that I was always
Yeah,
good at, so I always liked it. So I always liked taking the rope because I got to play with different knots and setups and stuff like that. Like you'll see when I'm in the woods. I go insanely complex in some of the things I set up with the different knots I use just to see if I can use them in different ways, which I self admit is way more and way over the top sometimes than is absolutely necessary. But like I said, you'll see. You'll see.
I use a few common knots, and I don't have the terminology right, so I'm not going to embarrass myself by saying what I do, but I do use like the press-it knot, and
Crescent knot is awesome for running. If anybody's
I,
wondering, that's for like running your anything along your ridge line. Really, honestly, I
I
use it
find my
commonly for
guidelines. You
tarps.
just loop it through, come back, put the press-it knot on, and just tension it to the length I want. It's quick and simple. Uh, but if you want more torsion, then you put the trucker's hitch. I think
Yep.
might be the word. May not be. See, I'm going to embarrass myself.
Nope, you're still good. That's the correct one. That way you can. It's basically putting a self loop in one end of the line, and then you hitch it back on itself, and it'll give you a massive amount of torque. I use
Yeah,
both those knots kind of in conjunction with each other to give
yeah.
a lot of tension on my tarp because I don't like a whole lot of flapping in my tarp,
No, no.
especially so. And I apologize to everybody now if you hear me sniffing. I do have a little bit of a head cold. I do have pills into me, but I notice I'm doing it a lot now that I'm talking. I wasn't bad when I was just sitting here quietly. But anyway, yeah. The other thing that we're hoping to do in the woods there a little bit, that's a loaded statement. The other thing we're hoping to accomplish while we're bushcrafting is we were just talking before we came on about we have some cameras and stuff with us, and we're hoping we're going to shoot a little bit of video while we're there too. Like I brought out the old waterproof shoot here. We were talking, we each had some video cameras. You have some action cameras. So we're
Yeah.
going to hopefully get some video documentation. Wow, that sounds way more professional. We're going to get some video. I don't know if we'll call it documentation. We're going to get some video, hopefully, of the whole experience. I'm hoping Ben will slap one on the motorcycle there, and you can get some footage of maybe us riding into where we're going, and we'll try and take some odd shots here and there walking in and things like that. And we've talked about charging systems. We're both going to bring solar panels and battery banks, which is going to add to our gear
Yeah.
and weight. So we have to take that into consideration as well. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good time. I think we're going to come out of it with a lot of good material. hotline is.
It's going to make or break this podcast.
Yeah, well, I guess if we come back and we come on for the next
No more
podcast
podcasts.
and there's
Horrible.
a lot of weird tension, it's probably not. We don't click well when we're out bushcrafting. And I'm really hesitant to say out in the woods now because now that I've said it, I can't get it out of my head. And I'm just like, oh my God, I hope nobody ever hears that in the wrong context. But no, I think it's going to be good. I really do. I've said that 100 times and I'm sticking by it. But yeah, I guess we're on that kind of topic. So is there any other specialty equipment that may not be bushcraft related that you'd be interested in bringing? Like I mentioned the cameras, the solar panels, the battery banks, our phones, which we're going to be using as cameras. Is there... I don't even know if I'm going to bring a tripod. I have a small tripod and I may bring that, but I don't know if I'm going to bring my big one in, or if I'm just going to try and make stuff work because of the amount of room it takes. What's your
I got a
thoughts?
small one I could take, but honestly, if I'm going to use my phone, I don't have anything to grab my phone and attach it to. But it would work well with the action cameras, and it would work well with my little waterproof one. So I could potentially take that one. I'm going to try and go fairly light on additional gear.
And that's kind of my hope too, because like I said, the battery bank, the 3 cameras, the solar panels, like it's going to be a lot of extra stuff. It doesn't sound like much, but it's going to be a lot of extra weight and room in the bag.
Yeah, I mean, it's up, and I like my comforts, so I do want to make sure we're going to be dry and have food options there. Chris Hillier just said light sources. There's a couple small flashlights I'll probably take, but honestly, as it gets darker, I don't use a lot in the way of light. How about yourself?
No, I'm pretty. Once again, depending on if we have a fire or not, I'm pretty as it gets darker. I tend to move closer to the fire, and that's when I'll do a lot of whittling or just staring into the fire, or it's kind of you get back to that primal instinct of things. As it gets darker, you tend to get tired, or you move into the light, and as the light dies off, you tend to go to bed, or at least that's the mindset I get into.
Yeah, we'll have a good conversation, I'm sure, and maybe we'll sneak a few beers in with us, so that'll go pretty good.
I wasn't saying that out loud.
Oh, wobbly pops. I mean, well.
But yeah, no, I think it'll be fine. Light sources, I'm
all bushcrafters are doing it. They're taking craft beer in with them, and they have like a 15-minute video on it.
Well, I mean, it would be better than trying to find frogs to lick, I suppose, to get the same effects. You ever see that Simpsons licking the toads?
Yeah, we're not licking toads.
Oh, come on, Ben. Have some adventure. I mean, the worst it can do is kill us, and we're going to be way out in the middle of the woods. I mean, what could ever go wrong with that? But, yeah, probably be a few adult beverages snuck in, that's for sure. Light sources, I'm probably just going to bring my headlamp and maybe that tiny Coleman flashlight / lantern thing you've seen, and that's probably going to be it for me. Maybe a glow stick.
Yeah, I do have one of those UCL lanterns.
Yep.
The lanterns. And I sometimes just hang that to one end of my hammock so I can find it.
And that's kind of... I think my daughter ran off with it, but I did have that little flashlight here. It's literally just a tiny... it's not a lot bigger than this, and it just pulls out, and it has like a lantern on the end of it, and you'd be amazed the light that comes out of that. It's just enough, and I love it.
Yeah, so we got some options. Is it bushcraft without beer?
Not at all. Hey, Dave. Welcome back, buddy. You came to listen to the ramblings of a crazy person again, I see. I'll leave that to you, Ben, if it's me or you.
I never claim to be sane.
I don't think anybody's sane that does bushcrafting as enjoyment. I think we're a special, unique breed of incredibly crazy people.
Yeah, a couple of my coworkers are talking today about doing hikes and stuff and having to go in the woods and dig holes to use the washroom and all that stuff. And I'm sitting there just kind of smiling at myself saying, they're talking about how crazy it was and how they have no interest in this stuff. But I'm like, yep. Hey, I do a podcast about this.
Yeah, a lot of guys at work are starting to come into the podcast now and watch us, and they come in, oh, I didn't know you were into that. I'm like, well, I mean, it's just kind of And what I tell them is it's kind of a way of life more than a hobby. Like I try to bring an amount of preparedness into everything I do. So bushcrafting to me, like I said, is kind of a way of life. I don't look at it as a hobby, but a lot of people think I'm crazy for that. Even my own father, who taught me a ton of my bushcrafting skills, he thinks I'm nuts. His idea of camping is going to the Howard Johnson.
Uh,
But Chris, any new items either of you have been waiting to test? Well, for me, I'm hopefully going to pick up an actual camping tarp. Ben and I were talking there after the show last week, and we think we got one picked out for me, and I'm probably going to pick that up next week when I get paid and have that sent to me through Amazon, and that's what I'm looking forward to test because I've never actually used a proper camping tarp. I've either had the iron skin one that I made or the good old Canadian Tire one jobbies. So I think it'll be interesting.
uh, my saw that I'm planning on taking has barely been used, so I'm almost considering that new. My hammock and tarp system I am taking has only been used once in January, so it does work in cold weather for sure. The chair I showed last week, if I decide to take it, it has not been in the woods yet. It is sat up in the living room, so that's all new. Stove systems I take, they've all been used a bit, so they're not very new.
I do have to ask that question. I do have somebody that works in the fire side of natural resources, and I'm going to bring the twig stoves in and see what those fall under for our situation because there is a very deep gray area in what we're doing and what's classified as a campfire because there's also I don't want to get into it too much, but you also have basic human rights. There's 36 of them, and one is the ability to feed, warm, and see, basically, like heat, light, and cooking. And yeah, I'll leave it at that because I don't want to start preaching about things I'm not 100% sure on. So I gotta talk to him and hopefully get us some answers on that because maybe our twig stoves are okay. I don't know. Maybe a campfire is okay for what we're doing. I need the yay or nay,
I,
100%.
I would argue black and blue with anyone who wants to come in behind me that my twig stove is fine. But yes, I understand that some people would potentially disagree with that because it is a contained fire and it's such a small contained fire that I'm not worried. And there's no sparks, there's no flankers coming out of it.
No, and I'm
So I'm
thinking my gasifying stove. Like, there's nothing that comes out of hardly any smoke.
yeah. So that to me, it's a double walled, insulated stove. Like that's about as closed. It's not an open fire. You know what I mean? Um, a
Well,
little
hopefully
camp.
I'll have 100% answers for us.
Huh?
Like I said, I've talked to you about it before. The same person I'm going to try and have a little interview with at some point about some of these questions is who I'm going to drag this stuff to and hopefully get some answers. Maybe hammer off that interview at the same time. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
get him hammered down. He used to live literally 10 minutes away from me. He still lives there, but now he works in Shubenacadie. He used to work literally beside me down here in McCullens Brook, which was really
Uh,
easy when we first talked about it. And then the next week he's like, "Oh, I got a job in Shubenacadie," and now I basically work exclusively there. So,
uh,
which
yeah.
twig stove
Sure.
do you? That's for you, Ben. Which twig stove do you have?
It's one of these knockoff Lydia style ones. Trying to see if I can
Is it like the round canister type?
round canister type. Yeah, it all folds into its. Goes about 3.5, maybe. Yeah, 3.5 inches high, probably about 6 inches in diameter. But it's all opened up. It's over a foot, I'd say.
Is the original maker of those called One Solo? I'll give that a quick
Yeah, it's
look.
definitely a knockoff of the solo version.
One
Yeah.
Solo Stove. Yeah, so if you Google One Solo Stove or Solo Stove Canada, um, yeah, solostove.com actually. That's both of us have the stove that's basically a knockoff of that. I guess is the easiest way to sum it up.
Yeah. The difference is $100.
Gas fire then, yes it is. Yeah, I think I got mine for like less than $30.
Yeah, that's where mine was ballparking around $25 to $35, and the solo stove goes for almost 125. So
And
it's
honestly, mine works great. I have no complaints.
and I've watched some videos, some of the other bushcrafters. I know Mark Young did a couple on them, and I think almost every bushcrafter has done that has YouTube videos has done a video on them, and they work. They really do. I take one of the expandable rods, you know, the ones that have like an antenna,
Yeah, I thought I had
and
one here, but I don't.
I use the blow into it just to control the bit. It doesn't quite start as good as it should, but other than that, once it goes, they're pretty bulletproof, really.
Yeah, like I said, I got zero complaints with mine. I've actually taken it to the rifle range and stuff in the winter. Sat it down on the cement slab and made a cup of tea and some Mr. Noodles while I was running drills. Like it was, they're a solid bulletproof little stove.
Yeah,
No pun
and
intended.
and they weigh very little. And uh, have you tried them with wood pellets?
I have not. You had mentioned that before, and I was gonna hit my buddy up for a small bag of wood pellets to give them a try. His pellet stove died on him, but he still got like 2 bags of pellets, so it kind of worked out good for me. Thank you for reminding me. I should actually text him right now.
I have a virtually a full bag here because you take like a sandwich size Ziploc bag, and it's enough to do 2 or 3 fires in it. And you're in the woods, you're going to break off a handful of branches and stuff, anyways, just the dead, you know, lower end of spruce and pine trees and stuff, and you'll have more than enough firewood to make a meal. So it's an easy, quick option. I mean, the other option is the canister stoves, but I mean, they do take up a fair bit of room. They're not that heavy, but
No, we both were planning to take one, so I don't know. Maybe we should pool our resources on that. That'll be something we can talk about later, depending on,
I
I
think we'll
guess,
probably
weather.
end up one of us will take one and the other will take the other.
Hmm.
Um,
I actually just learned an interesting tidbit of information from Chris here for anybody listening. Solo Stove is a replica of Bush Buddy, which is the original, originally made in Canada, but now made in Alaska. So that's kind of an interesting tidbit.
yeah, I knew Buddy. I knew that was another name used on. Yeah, yeah, the two of those are pretty good brand names, and I don't dissuade anyone from buying them. But if you go on Amazon and Google it, or there's a ton of people making them for a fraction of the price, and they seem to work. Some of them need modifications. I've been told to upsize some of the holes and things like that. And
I mean, that's
but
half the fun is tinkering. So
oh yeah,
Matthew is saying his fire bowl works good. You're gonna have to enlighten me a little bit about that.
we spoke about this before. He takes the big steel bowl like you'd mix bread in,
Yeah.
or yeah. He just takes one of those, throws twigs down in the bottom of that, lights it off, and we had a little bit of a competition at the 9 Mile River Trail system, and he it worked really good for him. And when he's finished, all the ashes were there. Just throw a little bit of water in, and poof, it's cooled down, and there's no, you know, it's clean, it's efficient. It's a
So
good
would
system.
that be a stainless steel bowl or something like that?
I
Because
can
I
still,
mean, would the heat affect it at all? Warp it or?
it might discolor it a tiny bit.
I'm not
Uh,
worried about the discoloring. I was more wondering if it would warp the bowl in or anything like that. Uh,
yeah, no, it's a good system, and it keeps everything dry and clean, and it's open, so you can easily throw a grate or something over it, or just put a couple of green sticks up, and you kind of got an improv grill that'll work pretty good to cook up a steak or something.
that's an
So,
interesting idea. I may have to try that sometime.
yeah, no, I mean, and although it's big and bulky, it's empty, so you can put stuff in it and stuff around it. It doesn't really steal that much room from your pack.
Wear it on your back, put a big star on it, and people would think you were Captain America running through the woods.
Just throw it on your head. Tell people you know, you can't get your brain
Won't
thoughts.
have to wear my tinfoil hat. I'll be able to take it off. Everybody thinks I wear these earmuffs because I need to hear. That's my tinfoil radar right there.
Ah,
That
yeah.
keeps the government out.
Maybe I shouldn't be going.
Vote using on a.
What secrets do you have that you're trying to keep from the government?
Well, you know what? They're my secrets to keep, and if I told you, I'd have to tell everybody else. We'll talk about them in the woods where one of us may not come back. No, honestly, I'm not that big of a conspiracy theorist. I do have a few good ones, but I think we all do.
Yeah, so Matt's mention of the bowl is a pretty good system, and I don't actually have a setup for that. It's quick enough to get one. Dollar store.
That's what I'm thinking. Value Village or something like that. I'll hit that place up. If I can find one, I'll take one with me 100% and give it a go. I mean, both the spots we were looking at have water on them. So we'd at least have that to fall back on, as long as there's not a burn ban on. What?
Doubles as a wash bin, anyways.
Exactly.
Or you just ain't clean them up.
And then I'll take it back and put it under the cupboard for the next time Melissa needs it to make cakes. It'll all be good. What could possibly go wrong with this?
No, honey, it's in there. What's these black marks? I don't know.
It must have been the last cake you made. You hit the bowl too hard. She's not logged in, is she? Nope. Okay, we're good.
She may see this someday.
I take chances every day. This is just another one.
Like I say, I'm always in trouble. I just try to know why I'm in trouble.
You know what? I gave up on even trying to know why for the most part. I just expect to be in trouble and try to temper it with witty remarks, if nothing else, to make people laugh. They may hate me, but at least they'll laugh. So, but yeah. Anyway, that's kind of it for me. Is there anything else you want to touch on there, Ben? I was kind of going over in my head if I had anything else I wanted to talk about, but I think I pretty much crushed all the latest updates on the trip from my side.
Yeah, I think we've covered everything. I mean, it's mostly for us. I think both of it is quite a bit of excitement of getting out there, doing something, getting away from it all, trying some new stuff out, testing some gear, and looking forward to being able to come back and kind of report on it and how things went. I'm sure our viewers will be interested in this.
Don't you dare tell her, Wendy. I see that.
That's the barbecue at Darcy sells the other day. Seen those last year, and I really wanted to try one. I picked it up, I walked around the store with it, and then put it back because I said I don't need it today.
Oh, never hesitate, Ben. Just go for it. If you pick it up, you own it.
There. If it's the one I'm thinking of, it folds up, like you said, pretty flat, and it's a neat little thing. It'd be a tempting thing to take on this trip. It would take up less room than bowl.
I might actually go into the dollar store right before we go and take $10 and see if I can buy some weird and wonderful camping stuff for us to give a go with. That might be kind of fun.
My wife has been after me to do, I think it's the $20 challenge or the $10 challenge or whatever, or the 10-item challenge. I find like around here, our dollar stores
are terrible.
They're not good, but you're not going to do much for $10. Like you watch the guy in the States, and they're coming out with like feasts and everything. Like yeah, I'm not going to get that. But if you adjust the budget a little bit, you can come off kind of similarly. Like the best tarp I found in the dollar store is $4.
$4. Yeah, I was just thinking a basic knife and a tarp, you're already into your $10.
Oh yeah.
So I think most of the folders, the knives are like $4 too.
Yeah, my wife has been after me to do like the dollar store challenge, just slightly modified to be a bit more reasonable for our circumstances, I guess.
I'd be willing to give that a go. Like if you want to do it separately or together at some point, we could coordinate that.
I think separately from this trip. But
no. I mean, either
meet together and do it. Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, sorry. I guess more to explain. After this trip is under our belt and we figure out how it all goes and stuff like that, if you wanted to do the dollar store challenge, I would do it as well. Perhaps at a different location. We could see how we came out, or we could maybe chat about doing it together and combining a little bit. That might be the only way to actually, like if you did the 10-item challenge, that might be more realistic than $10 challenge. But anyway, that's a topic and a chat for another day.
Yeah.
Pictures off it. Just reading Chris's comment there. Not trying to.
So was I. Yeah, I mean there's a lot of great things out there, and the dollar store stuff is pretty cool. I'm sure we'll both hit the dollar store before we leave just to see if there's anything we want. I'm still planning on getting the dehydrator out. I've got a couple ideas, but unfortunately, there's not a lot of pre-researched keto camping dehydrated meals that are coming up.
No, and
There's
that's what I was looking at, honestly.
But I've got some ideas. Some of them involve dehydrating cauliflower, sort of to replace your rice, potatoes, noodles, because those are three things that are basically a no-no.
Yeah, because they're straight carbs, basically, aren't they?
Yeah, it's just pure sugar, really.
Yeah.
So cauliflower and broccoli have been a substitute for me for a lot of this stuff. Almond flour. There's a few breads we make, but it usually involves like shredding cheese and microwaves. I haven't fried any of that in the woods. But so there's some things I want to try.
I'm definitely Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Honestly, like for the length of time we're going, there's plenty that I can take that I'll be fine, and we'll have enjoyable meals, I'm sure. So you're going to say something?
Yeah, all I was going to say was I'm going to dig the dehydrator out as well, and I'm going to try and do some dehydrated fruit for us, just as through the day snacks for when burning up calories, right? So I'm thinking, which fruit are you good with? Apples are pretty high in sugar.
I don't eat a lot of fruit anymore, honestly.
Okay.
Nuts are my more go-to.
All right, I can go with that. I love nuts as well. Is there any nuts you don't like?
No, I like the nuts.
We're good. All right, that's easy.
Just like me. No, yeah. So almonds, walnuts, macadamia are three really popular ones. Peanuts are mediocre. They are a little higher in carbs, but all of them are pretty good. We do some sunflower seeds. They're not perfect, but they're pretty good.
I suppose if you got the salted ones or the flavored ones, those would probably be a little worse off.
Love salt. In fact, one of the problems we had early on when we switched to keto was a lot of muscle cramping and stuff, and most of it is a result of too low salt.
Interesting. I suppose because that would deplete your electrolytes because the salt acts as a chemical stabilizer for neurons to transfer. Now you're really stretching my medical knowledge, but I think that's how it works.
But you hear it a lot that like our diets are generally too high in salt, and but now it's saying that sugar is worse for you than salt ever was. Oh, cashews. Yeah, see?
I love cashews. I love pistachios. I love any kind of mixed nut. I'm great with. So that's all I'm gonna do now. I'm just gonna go to the bulk barn, buy a great big bag of mixed nuts, and hopefully there's enough left over I can take when I go.
Yeah.
Because I'll probably have most of them eaten by the time I get home.
I'll be taking some nuts. I'll be taking some jerky. Other meats that I tend to go towards pepperonis. The bacon, I think we've talked about that. The
Ready Crisp.
Ready Crisp style bacons, those things. So, I mean, that alone is way more protein than either of us are really going to need for a weekend.
Oh, for sure. Like, I mean, we're talking about tons of food here, and realistically, we're only going for 2 days. I mean, if we didn't bring a sliver of food and just had lots of water, technically we'd survive.
Oh, we'd be fine. Yeah. Yeah, so we got lots of options. We got some gear we're figuring out. We're going to probably in the next little while each start packing our gear and testing it on the bikes and stuff and seeing how it fits and all that. I know that's in my head. I'm sure it's in yours.
I've already been rearranging the backpack to see how I can fit stuff comfortably in there to ride with.
Yeah. I'm going to play with my 2 backpacks and see which one works best with the bike. I know which one looks cooler.
Always go for functionality every time.
But yeah, and I grabbed a bunch of stuff from my cabin. I was down there. I got my sleeping system, like my sleeping bags and stuff brought up. I found my little. We talked about this in a previous one. I got a little butt pack type thing, fanny pack, butt pack thing. I don't know if that might. It's Molly. It might stick to my pack. So I got some options, different things we can take. We got a lot of day plans, building chairs, fishing. So, I mean, I think we've got a pretty packed weekend
I was going to
already.
say, we're going to be busy. We do have to come up with an itinerary of how to try and get make your own eating utensils challenge already ahead of you, Chris. That's what I was planning to do. I am going to sneak a spork down with me just in case it goes to snot, but excuse me, I am going to try and carve an eating utensil. Might be my first night's. No, I'll have to make it before that because I'll probably want to eat before then. Chopsticks. Just going to make chopsticks.
Pointy stick. I
Thunk. But yeah, no, I think we still got a long way to go, but it's coming very well. And we're definitely going to have to chat about how to fit everything in we want to try because time is. A lot of things are coming up and time is not getting longer, if that makes any kind of sense.
The days are though.
That is true. That is true.
So the reality is, at this time of year, if we both decided to leave work, I'm not sure what time you get off. I get off usually around 4.
Me too. 4.
That means we could probably be at location by 6 if we wanted to push it.
Yep.
So we'd still have 2.5 to 3 hours of light after 6.
Yeah, where we're going to be going hammocks. At least we don't have to build shelters and stuff like that, providing it's not pouring rain. Hopefully, it's not. But
Well, if it's real miserable, I don't know. We'll have to reconsider, I guess.
I got a perfectly good sunroom that's waterproof. We'll just bring the hammocks here. We'll hang them. We're good. It's kind of outdoors.
We should say this on here. We could just pretend we were in the woods.
We're literally just out back.
Angle cameras. This is the woods.
No. You can't show that side. Can't show that side. You can see the house. But yeah. I think we're coming along nicely. And I think
is that Melissa carrying a jug of juice to you guys?
Where did you get the glass? Yeah.
Extension cord? The phones are dying.
Well, yeah, I mean, I ran it from home. Oh. Anyway.
You want to, but you're spooling up. Yeah, so no, we got some plans. We'll say goodbye there and continue on with this next show. We'll probably try to have more of a subject for next show, and we can discuss that later, but
yeah, and I apologize for this week. Like I said, it was kind of me that dropped the ball with everything going on, and oh well, is what it is.
I think it's pretty fair share there, buddy. I did research, but honestly, I didn't find the things I was hoping to find, so I'm going to have to experiment, which is cool, but that's going to take some time. And like I said, we've both had quite a bit going on this week. I've switched jobs. You've had issues. So.
No, buddy, I got issues. That's for sure. But that's something else. But yeah, this week I apologize. Like I said, it kind of went sideways, but I think we came up with a good show. We've been yakking for 50 minutes, so
yeah, which is a norm.
Yeah, that's not bad. I think that's probably as much as anyone ever wants to listen to us anyway.
So let's cut it off there before the podcast start giving us problems for it.
Yeah, just as a note as well, Ben, video feed was 100% great this time. So anybody might have noticed there, Ben is using a slightly different way of coming through. So if anybody noticed any glitches or sound issues or things like that, please shoot us a message so we can try and work bugs out. But on my end, worked amazing. Everything was great. Yeah. No glitches, no nothing. Actually, I never even lost any frames. So I think we're great.
So I think this system works a little bit better. So unless someone makes some comments about it, we'll probably go with this type of system for the future until otherwise figured out. Anyways, everyone have a good time. Test their gear. Get out there. Have some fun. And we take no responsibility for anything you do in the woods.
Nope. Not even a little bit. Liability disclaimer right there. But still, get out. Get dirty. Have fun. Be safe. Have a good night, guys.
Night.